Douglas, and as the CEO of Ask ROI, let's talk about the emerging technologies that we're working towards.
Yeah, I will say one observation. Coming out here, I know a lot of people are thinking that, AI is going to take my job, and I know that's one of the big fears. And so to address that elephant in the room, if you notice, we have a panel of human beings still for right now. But I don't think AI is really going to take jobs as much as AI is going to take over tasks, and I think that's what we're seeing. What we provide as a solution is a lot of what the people on stage are talking about now. So we touch in every one of these areas. We touch in real estate, we touch in marketing, we touch in content creation. We do things that help to automate, help to take over tasks. I think what you're gonna see in your businesses as well and with your competition is people that have already started this process of integrating AI. So one of the things that we like to talk about is the importance of having an AI literate workforce. So I think if there's one thing I would definitely take away from this conference is to start to ask the questions for how I can achieve that.
PJ, so as one of the key stakeholders in Mikai, which is a tech partner for Ask ROI, looking at everything that you guys are doing in the market, what are some of the key challenges that you see with these AI and tech integrations for companies?
So one, I completely agree with Douglas, is that, the power of AI is going to be how do you make each of your employees that much better? Like, not to replace jobs, but to make each of your employees do that much more, to make their job that much easier, to replace the tasks that they may not want with an automated process so they can focus on that critical thinking that you talked about and that you talked about, Aoife. The things that we see with some of our enterprise customers, the people we work with, is really just not knowing where to start and understanding, like, well, I've spent all this time, I spent all this money, what about budget? What about, how long will this take? There is always a thought of, well, if I, invest in this, does that mean that, corporate, headquarters or leadership will give me less budget as it relates to other aspects of the business? These are the types of complications and processes that people kind of think about as it relates to kind of investing into this line of work. But what I will say is, I think once you break down to any customer and identify, hey, what is the issue, or what is a way that you could be better at what you're doing, and you start from that approach of, hey, where do you struggle? Can we help? Hey, do you have a lot of different systems, and do you have a lot of different data from a lot of different sources? Can we streamline that into one place, and can we start kind of analyzing it, reasoning over it, and provide more value to it? I think one of the big things that we work with a lot of our university customers is they spend so much money on resources for students, faculty, and staff. And people don't realize that even at large corporations, people spend millions and millions of dollars to give these people tools. Imagine if there was a way to put all those tools into one place. And this is very similar to what Douglas was saying, is like, can we not structure this where you have an assistant, or you have an application, or if you have a folder structure where, oh, it's all here. It's all easy to use. That is what I think the power will be, for a lot of these companies, universities, you name it.
What are some of the most impactful ways that an entrepreneur or business owner can look at integrating AI in their business?
In our office, we spend a lot of time on allowing AI to do the heavy lifting. We're not looking for keyboard warriors. I'm looking for thought leaders. So artificial intelligence now is allowing, across every industry, every market, you to become a thought leader. Use the automations. Let that strike the keyboard for you, let that do the independent research for you, and be able to become a thought leader. And that's what I think where we're at right now with AI is we're using it as a tool to elevate ourselves, elevate our learning and our ability to be more creative, allowing it to do the heavy lifting.
There's a lot of talk in AI about technical names of models, for example, where you're talking about ChatGPT or Claude or Llama or these types of terms. But at the very high level, the first thing that you want to consider as a business owner is finding the solution that works for you in your business. And what I think is really inspiring to me personally about AI is how AI, when you find that right fit, can help you innovate very rapidly, much more rapidly than you could in the past.
Can you give us an example of implementation that you've done in the AI space, and give us some information about how that's worked?
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the interesting things about AI infrastructure, what I like to think of as the picks and shovels business, for this new economy that we're all building together is the tremendous pace at which demand for AI infrastructure is growing. And the need for AI compute is growing, it's quadrupling every 12 months. And if this is a scaling law or this is a power law that's going to see the demand for AI compute basically grow by 1 million fold over the next decade. That's what 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 gets you to over 1 million times the amount of demand for compute in the next decade. So I think that this foretells like a tremendous global world-changing opportunity in AI, whereas we might not be able to yet see what the eventual outcome looks like 10 years down the road. But just the sheer demand for the picks and shovels of this business right now is illustrating is that the growth opportunity here is tremendous. And so I also wanted to think about I also am building a company with my co-founders called SETI AI, and it is challenging. And I know a lot of you out there are building your own businesses, some of them in AI too. And one quote that I always think of, that at the end of the day, because you're really drinking from a fire hose of opportunity if you're aligned correctly with your business, but you're also sometimes drinking from a fire hose of challenges and problems to solve. And that is that no matter what comes your way, it's not how hard you hit, according to the great Rocky Balboa. It's how many hits you can take and keep moving forward. So progressing forward bit by bit, no matter what comes your way, is I think the challenge that all of us face in building our businesses together. But that horizon, over the horizon, is this millionfold opportunity for AI that I think should inspire us all.
What advice do you give to entrepreneurs about how do they evaluate what to do first? Like what are the key steps when they're looking at either putting a tech implementation, an AI integration, or marketing? What sort of steps do you advise them?
I think keeping things very simple and understanding what your business needs in the current state is massively important. Most small businesses that I meet, they're lacking one thing. They have a great product, a great service, they have a great co-founder or founder, they have an amazing customer service, but typically they lack leads. So you have to identify whatever it is that you specifically need in your business and then focus specifically on that. And that's why I say it's leads, because at the end of the day, as owners, founders, co-founders, whatever, you typically as the owner have to focus on what are called revenue producing activity. And sometimes you're spending too much time not focusing on the revenue producing activity and just spending a lot of time putting out the fire hose challenges. And a lot of those challenges can be solved by serving more customers and serving great customers.
We're now moving into 2025. What is one thing that you would, piece of advice that you would give the audience about what they should be looking towards in 2025 to grow and scale their business?
Yeah, so I don't know if the term, AI or die is true, but I suspect it's close to it. And again, I'm not talking about taking away jobs. I'm talking about handling tasks so you guys can do the human interactions. You guys can come here and do the networking. You guys can do the strategizing. But things like administrative tasks, things like project management, those are things that I think you could start to offload. And a lot of stuff we're talking about here, you'll see the synergies because there's an overlap here. We all are using AI at this point. I guarantee your competition is using AI. So, there's this sort of this fear of missing out, and there's also this AI advantage. And I would encourage everyone to try to seek out that AI advantage.
I would take it a step further. If you're a business leader here, if you're a business owner, or if you're someone that wants to get into that space, I would go and talk to Douglas. I would talk to Aoife, right? These people every day they wake up and they say, "Hey, how can I help automate this aspect of your business? How can I help as it relates to take a load off of what we're doing here so you can reinvest into something different?" That is literally what they do on a daily basis, and they do it for some of the biggest companies in the world. So, to Dodd's point, if you're here, the point isn't only to learn, it's to meet people and to say, hey, how can we work together, to provide value, for one another.
I want to give a big round of applause to all of our panelists. Everyone give a big round of applause.